Hello again, YouTube. My name is Tristan. This is L-Space Books. Today I am doing a Pride Month Provincetown book haul. So I went to Provincetown with my partner and his coworker friends last weekend, I believe. Yes, last weekend. And it was a ton of fun. It was the first time I've ever been. It was nice to get out, really just like on the Cape. I've never been, like I said, and then just being immersed in such a vibrant and fun queer community was just fabulous, and I couldn't have been happier. Of course, one of the main things that I wanted to do when I was there was to check out the bookstores, because if there's anything you can find in queer community bookstores, it is great queer books. And so that was a top priority for me for what I wanted to do, as well as, frolicking about on the beaches and going to the bars, etc. But I also, I purchased a few books there. I went to basically every single bookstore that was in Provincetown. There are three of them. There's Tim's Used Books, there's East End Bookstore, and then I believe the last one is just called Provincetown Books. And I went to each one and I bought something at each of them, and I'm very excited about the books that I picked up at each one. And then additionally, on top of those books that I picked up, I also got some books from thrift books, because I actually don't even know. It's more than likely just because I really liked Borrowed Time by Paul Monette, and so I bought some of his other books, and so that's maybe a spoiler for the books that I picked up, but I'll talk about them as well. So maybe I will start off with the Paul Monette books, because I guess for all intents and purposes, these are kind of like sort of an academic interest to me, as well as he's an author I'm very curious about. So the one that I was most excited for was The Last Watch of the Night, which is a collection of essays that he published toward the end of his life. He didn't live to be very old, because he died of complications due to AIDS. And his sort of big claim to fame, or like his big notable work, is Borrowed Time, which is an AIDS memoir, and it recounts his experience caring for his partner up until the end of his life, as he deteriorated rather rapidly he deteriorated rather viciously due to AIDS. And then this is another one that is sort of reflecting on some of the other aspects of his life, as both a queer man as well as a queer man living through the AIDS crisis. It starts with an essay about his dog Puck, who is basically the one that kind of got him out of bed in the morning after he lost his second partner, I believe, because his first partner's name was Roger, and then he had another. He lived with another man named Steve, and then when Steve passed away due to AIDS complications, Puck was the one that kept Paul going. And so it's really quite a charming essay. And I'm not very far. I have started this one, and it's kind of my like bedtime reading one. It's the one that I read to go to bed and sort of fall asleep. I guess it's kind of perfect because it's called Last Watch of the Night. But anyway, it's the last read of the night. But yeah, very, very well written, very, very touching, and yeah, it's just great. And so I'm very excited to get further into this. So I've only ever read his nonfiction and his essays / his memoir, and so I was very curious because he's also a novelist, and so I wanted to pick up Afterlife, which I think the only reason why I picked this one up in particular is because it was like $3 on thrift books, which ended up qualifying, I believe, for like my free book because of the rewards. And this says, tears, numbness, and Saturday night potluck dinners, these make up the traumatic afterlife For a trio of grieving AIDS widowers, emotionally damaged survivors, they support and comfort one another in a plague-ridden West Hollywood world of palm trees, Zen salads, and homophobic televangelists. And that there's more to the synopsis, but I think that gives you a decent idea of what it's about without giving too much away. And so I am very interested in this idea, especially I'm very curious about this sort of post-AIDS, these AIDS survivors, especially people who have survived who are the survivor of a couple who've lost people to the AIDS virus. It's just something that I'm very interested in learning more about, both from a literary standpoint as well as a historical standpoint. So, yes, that is Afterlife by Paul Monette, and I'm very curious to see what his fiction is like because I very much enjoyed his nonfiction. Okay, so those are the two thrift books ones. There's dust flying around apparently. So now to get into the books that I got from Provincetown. I feel like I'm like slouching. My camera angles are weird because there's a window right here and it's glaring a bunch of light in, and it's just very difficult. Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, so I got two new books and two used books, and I'm very excited about the used books. I guess I'll start with the new books. So one of them I got is a local author to Provincetown. That's something that I like to do every time I travel somewhere, which to be honest is not that often, but I like to look at the local authors because I think it's very interesting to see what selection is at a particular store. And also, like, this is not a good example of that, but like if an author has written a book that is set in said town or said city or whatever, I think that is very interesting to see their perspective. Like when I went to Puerto Rico with Kyle, we both bought some books that were by Puerto Rican authors who live in Puerto Rico, and so we were those were like the highest priority books for us to get because we wanted to know about Puerto Rico from the Puerto Rican experience, especially given that I think from a mainland perspective, we don't get a lot of that. So I just wanted to know more. Now, I say all that, but William J. Mann is a Provincetown local. He lives on the Cape, but this book is not set in Provincetown, which is fine, does not matter. But it sounds very interesting. So it says, the first call is from Wally Day's estranged mother, begging him to come home. The second is from Sebastian Garofalo, a Browns Mill cop Wally last spoke to when he confessed to having underage sex with an old apple in the old apple orchard. Reading is hard. Today, Garofalo is calling about something entirely different. Wally's cousin Kyle is missing. Now, to be honest, that's the part that made me pick up this one because my partner's name is Kyle, and I was like, Kyle is missing. Oh no. So anyway, this is kind of like a thriller mystery novel that should be very interesting. And at least from that little bit, it's quite curious, you know. But yeah, there were a lot of books in the local author ones, but I very much wanted a queer author, and this ends up also being a queer story, which is going to be cool. So yeah, I will certainly have my thoughts on this one at some point. I have no idea what I am going to get around to reading it because I have so many books that I'm trying to get to and so little time. It's depressing. But anyway, so that is an All-American Boy by William J. Mann, or Mann, if you pronounce it like Thomas Mann from Germany. But anyway, yes, so that's one of the books that I picked up, and I'm very, very excited about this one. Okay, so the other book that I picked up that is a new book is one that I had never heard of before, and I'm quite surprised because it sounds fabulous, And look at the cover. How could you not love that? It's called Love Junkie by Robert Plunkett, which fabulous last name. And this just, the back of this sounds absolutely wild, and I'm very excited to read this to you. Let's hope that I can get through this. Okay, so adored by the likes of Amy Sedaris, Frank Rich, and Madonna, who once optioned the film rights, Love Junkies is Robert Plunkett's comedic classic set in the heyday of gay New York at the dawn of the AIDS epidemic. Mimi Smithers, a modern-day Emma Bovary, is a 40-ish suburban housewife who has an eye for decor and dreams of hosting lavish cocktail parties. After moving to Westchester from Tehran with her Union Carbide executive husband, Mimi hosts a party for Mrs. Rockefeller that flops, and she feels like an unglamorous dud. But life takes an unexpected turn when she stumbles down the rabbit hole of gay society in Manhattan and Fire Island and meets Joe, a porn star with a smooth chest like a Ken doll's. Soon, she's helping him with his lucrative mail-order business, audio tapes, used underwear, and her fantasies become intimately entwined with Joe's magnificent dreams. Like, oh my god, it just, wow. It sounds absolutely wild, and I cannot wait to read this one, which, of course, I'm just going to sit and wait until I do read it, but, just absolutely fabulous. Like that, oh my gosh, there's just so much to that, and I can't wait to get into it. But yeah, Provincetown Bookshop, there it is. But yes, so that is Love Junkies by Robert Plunkett, and it just sounds wild and amazing, and I am so excited to get to it. Oh my gosh. I don't even remember, I think I was drawn to it, I think as you would be by the cover. I was like, that looks funny and silly and really cool, and then I started reading it and I saw AIDS epidemic, and like immediately that's kind of like almost an automatic buy for me, because I very interested in that period. But then as I kept reading, I was like it was like spiraling more and more and more, and I was just like, whoa, I have to get this. It's just like, it's not an option for me. I need it, and so I got it. So that's fun. Okay, now the last two, reaching down to the floor, the last two I am very excited about because they are just cool. One of them is called Queer in America, and it is Sex, the Media, and the Closets of Power by Michelangelo Signorile. And looks like a cool dude. The reason why, this just sounds like a very interesting book. I love how the United States map is inverted. I think that's super interesting as a cover design, graphic design. And on top of all of that, this, I found out, is in fact a signed first edition by the author. This is for somebody named Frank, and it says happy birthday from Michelangelo. So Frank, I have your book now. I'm very excited to have your book. Thank you for giving it to Tim's Used Books, because I'm very excited to read this. I think that one of the pieces from Borrowed Time, as well as I think it's Franz Leibowitz. I'm going to like fact check the name on that one. But anyway, they're Fran Leibowitz, probably. Anyway, gay men were just like all over the place in media and in Hollywood, on Broadway, in a bunch of creative circles, and so I think it's going to be interesting to learn a little bit more about that. I don't actually know if this is going to be talking about like media and the like lack of coverage of the AIDS crisis and things like that, but let's see. And Queer in America is his story and the story of a new gay generation that is taking on American institution known as the Closet. So that could be interesting. But yeah, I think overall it will be very fascinating. Like I guess I'm probably just like chopping up word salad right now, not actually making any particular point, but sounds like a very interesting book. Very interested in getting to it. I think that queer nonfiction is something that I very much gravitate toward, and so I will be excited to get to it at some point, hopefully soon. Hopefully, I'll do it before next Pride Month. God. But yeah, so that is Queer in America: Sex, the Media, and the Closets of Power by Michelangelo. Michelangelo. Why is that such a hard name for me to say? Michelangelo Signorile. Cool. We did it. We made it. All right. The last one is a book by Armistead Maupin, who is one of my favorite authors of queer literature, and this is the Night Listener. And this is also a first edition copy, which is cool, given how just like beautiful and well kept this book is. It's just a cool cover design. I don't know what else to say. It just sounds it's just a very pretty book. I don't normally like the color yellow very much, but the way that it's designed on this is just it's striking, and I like it a lot. And when I was flipping through it, a postcard fell out from Paris, which is, of all places, it's quite cool. And it's like, it's in French, like it's kind of a sort of match made in gay heaven. Is there any other kind? Because, French literature scholar, etc. French literature student. Let's not get too high and mighty here. I am a French literature student, scholar as if. Not yet. But anyway, this is not one of the Tales of the City books. Let's see if I can find the synopsis here. This is the tale of Gabriel Noon, a writer whose late-night radio stories have brought him into the homes of millions. Noon is in the middle of a painful separation from his longtime lover when a publisher sends him proofs of a remarkable book, the memoir of an ailing 13-year-old boy who suffered horrific abuse at the hands of his parents. Now living with his adopted mother, Pete Lomax is not only a brave and gifted diarist, but he also is a devoted listener to Noon's show. When Noon phones the boy to offer encouragement, it soon becomes clear that Pete sees this heartsick, middle-aged storyteller the loving father he has always wanted. Thus begins an extraordinary friendship that only grows deeper as the boy's health deteriorates, freeing Noon to unlock his innermost feelings. So I think it just sounds very interesting. And I've wanted to read Maupin's other works because as of yet, I've only actually read his Tales of the City series, and so I'm excited to read some of his other fiction. I know that I am very interested in getting to his memoir, Logical Family, especially because it's that idea of like logical family is very prevalent in the book of his that I just read, which was Michael Tolliver Lives. And I didn't realize that this is what he was playing off of, but logical is just biological family without the bio, because it is the family that you choose. It's all about like chosen family and like found family and things like that. So it's a quite interesting concept and a fun play on words that I had not clocked until just now. Well, not until just now, but like when I was reading the book. You get what I'm saying. It's fine. So yeah, this is The Night Listener by Armistead Maupin. I have no idea when I'm going to get to it, but I'm very excited to have this first edition copy on my shelf from now on. So yeah, I'm very excited about all of these books. I think that, obviously I'm reading one of them. I always end up doing this during the summer, like as soon as the vitamin D dopamine hits. Vitamin D and dopamine, I should say. Vitamin D is not dopamine. But as soon as the vitamin D and the dopamine from the sun hit, I feel so much freer with my finances than I think should be. But, I was still economical because 2 of those books were used, and, 4 of those books were used because 2 of them were from thrift books. It's fine. I'm just rationalizing and making myself feel bad for things that, I'm going to enjoy at some point. I've always felt this, and I've heard it put into words at one point quite nicely that, buying books and, obviously buying books and reading books are 2 different hobbies, but you should stock your bookshelf like you stock a wine cellar. You should always have something on hand for whenever a particular mood strikes, it's nice to be able to reach for something and see what you are in the mood for and something that fits what you need at a particular time. So I'm happy to have all of those. Those will all scratch particular itches that definitely hit from time to time throughout the year, and I will hopefully be able to give you my thoughts on them sooner rather than later, but no promises because, you know, there is so little time for reading when you are full-time professional elsewhere. That is not a full-time reader. If only, that would be the life. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If there's any of these that you have read and you think that I should prioritize over some of the others, definitely let me know in the comments. If any of these look particularly interesting to you, of course, I'd also like to know that. I think that some of the others, you know, I mean, like, I know that Monette and Maupin have other books, but if you've read other books by some of those other authors, like William Mann or Robert Plunkett, let me know. Curious. I think it'd be fun to read and hear a little bit more about them from people who might have more experience than I do. So anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!